BMG and Forbes Health launched public campaign to support vaccination in Georgia, Aitseri, which means take the vaccine shot. People of different professions will tell the public about the need for vaccination within the frame of the campaign.
Instead of a third lockdown, it is better to tighten enforcement of COVID regulations, says Ketevan Chikatarashvili, expert and a co-founder of the Forbes Georgia Health Platform. She says a public campaign is an important tool to support the vaccination.
The pace of COVID-19 jab rollout is very low, and a more active public campaign is needed. This is what Nicholas Gamkrelidze, Executive Director of Georgian Healthcare Group, said after taking AstraZeneca COVID-19 jab.
The annual inflation rate amounted to 7.2% in March 2021, which is a record high since 2019. Prices are up on food, housing, health and transport.
According to the 51% of top managers of Business Association of Georgia's member businesses and companies claimed they would increase their total investments in 2021. About 38% of the surveyed companies expect no change for the present year, while 11% expect a decrease in total investments.
Following the refusal from the political parties to compromise, Georgia's leaders should not expect a return to business as usual from the European Union. The European Parliament in particular will call for consequences in terms of EU financial assistance, including both a suspension of further disbursements of and an increase in conditionality linked to EU macro-financial assistance and budget support programs. The statement came from members of the European Parliament after Georgia's political leaders did not agree to EU mediator Christian Danielson's proposal.
Hello, this is The Checkpoints, hosted and co-authored by Elena Kvanchilashvili and myself. I am Georgi Sakadze. It is Sunday and the Forbes Georgia studio is open for talks on business and economics.
Yes, 10 p.m. sharp, and we are ready to start with good news and big investment plans, which is especially important during these days when the pandemic has its toll not only on health but on the economy as well. So a little bit of optimism won't be excessive. What do you think, Georgi?
More so, Elena, more so. We desperately need such optimism, especially today. To picture that, I have talked with Guga Tsanava, who has big investment plans in Georgia.
Yes, Georgi, I read his Facebook note that he was published in the world's one of the most renowned business magazines, Stanford Business Review, both in printed and online versions, being the very first person from this part of the world, Caucasus, CIS, etc., to be covered by Stanford Business among Nobel Prize winners, global leaders, icon entrepreneurs, stellar professors, and to be named as a voice of GSB is an indescribable honor and responsibility. This is what Guga Tsanava wrote on his Facebook page.
Yes, and we focused part of the interview on this really big achievement, and also we'll be sharing in a moment with our viewers and followers Guga Tsanava's plans to open the largest outlet. As he mentions, it is a good business in good times, but even better in tough times. So here's the interview. So I don't know, congrats to you, or I mean, it's congrats to everybody here. It's quite unprecedented. Whoever knows how unprecedented this recognition is, we need some feedback. We need some history of it. Mm-hmm. Where does it come from? So please brief us.
Thanks, George, for having me. And frankly speaking, I'm also kind of still in shock. Because I've never would have expected that happening. But it started like approximately 5 months ago. So basically, Stanford came up with a new structure, which is sort of the ambassadorship structure,
okay,
globally speaking. What does it mean? So the procedure was that they made internal rankings and the election kind of thing, and made a short list of like 300 people. Out of 300 people, there were winners, and
you are among
turned
them.
out to be among them, yes. and ambassador, Stanford's ambassador to this part of the world, which includes CIS, Caucasus like Georgia, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Turkey, etc. What does it mean in short? So on the one hand, you are responsible for the publicity, PR of Stanford. I don't know why they need actually any PR globally, but no, exactly, but that's what they say. And secondly, and I think that's the major part of it, that you have to assist prospective candidates in terms of their sort of selection process, like advising, maybe even interviewing before they get admitted or not. And since then, my interconnection with Alumni Association actually enhanced, and we're exchanging sort of emails, ideas, etc. And due to COVID, they had the article, not the article, they had a questionnaire. So basically they were asking about pros and cons of COVID, what we learned, what were lessons, geographically speaking. And I came up with my...
I mean, through this 300, correct? We're still there?
Yeah.
We're still in the short list.
Yeah,
okay.
And I came up with my ideas, my lessons, my opinions, etc. And after 1 month, well, since I've been elected already as ambassador, after 1 month, I'm getting an email saying that they would like to have a longer conversation with me, and if I could allow 2 hours of my time. And obviously, I said yes, and it was fascinating.
Per to per,
and it was fascinating over the Zoom.
Okay,
and it was fascinating. I said yes, but the most surprising was that when I actually got a call, and I looked at I looked at the person who were sitting in front of me. He introduced himself from the Stanford Publishing, not the business school.
You didn't expect that?
No, I thought it was Alumni Association.
Sure.
I would never expect it that it would be publishing, because it's like Harvard Business Review of Stanford, like one of the most recognized magazines in the entire world. And so we had 2-hour conversation. They were basically asking everything from my childhood, my failures, my successes, my vision, objectives, what my existing project. I don't know.
Interview.
Just a regular interview. Yeah. But covering
all the details.
All the details and all the topics. Private, professional, whatever. So and
how long this break last?
And after like 3 weeks afterwards, I'm getting an email from the Alumni Association, in this particular case, saying that I'm kindly asked to provide my photos, and they with some standards. And then I realized that something else is going on, and they are going to publish it. But still, until the very end, I did not believe it. Until like 3 days
ago, it was published.
Yes, when I got an email from admission head at 2 a.m. saying that he read an article and he's very fascinated. So then I was like, what the hell? And I opened the link and I saw it, and it was then I realized that that's actually the reality. That's actually been done. Yeah, and they did it both, and it was also very encouraging that it's not just an online article. Yeah, they did it both. So they put it in the printed version as well, which is distributed. If I'm not wrong, 5,000 copies are, so 3 to 5 are
World,
limits.
Business, economic, political leaders, and your club.
And
elite,
sort of
definitely.
Silicon Valley or whatever. And
worth to mention that online version of Stanford.
The covers global.
But it was established
in 2020.
2020, just
in 2020. Yeah, because of COVID, most probably, and because they wanted to cover the entire world. Because they just so you know what is the structure of the magazine. So there is an interview with Elon Musk, for instance, and there is something article about innovation, or interviews with professors, or those kind of things. And there is a special category which is named under GSB Voice. GSB, that's an abbreviation of Graduate School of Business of Stanford, and I was actually published under that category as of being the voice of Stanford to the rest of the world, which is a bit shocking.
I want to share with our viewers and followers the information you mentioned in our personal, private conversation. That personal for you, the case, the momentum of being Georgian.
Yeah.
Was very important.
I think so, yeah, because we are
What
very...
is your personal feeling while being shortlisted and then...
Yes, I think so, because I mean, obviously, I even said on my Facebook post when I actually made it known to the friends and the rest of the people that I have not raised hundreds of $millions and I have not done any unicorn startups or whatever. So I was a bit surprised why I
These guys are proud of you?
That significant interest from them, okay? But I think that there is a fact that, well, they kind of found something most probably in my lifetime career path. Fact that I'm Georgian, because we are still remain very underrepresented group. We are like the alumni, you can basically count on hands, very few alumni, and especially for the business school. And I don't know. I mean,
we're talking about core alumni, correct, Guga? I mean,
there are two. Yeah, I mean, alumni is alumni, but there are two sort of alumni. One is sort of the ones who actually got degrees, like masters, PhD, etc. And another ones, Stanford has a very special program, executive education program. It lasts 4 months, if I'm not wrong, for the top managers and politicians and those kind of things. By the way, it costs $60,000 for 4 months. One of the most expensive programs in the entire world. Yeah, and since this is tailored for the very selective individuals, they decided to grant alumni. Well, basically, you are buying $60,000 worthwhile to have a Stanford alumni status. But when you're doing masters, it's obviously automatically delivered to you.
Something worth to be proud of for a whole country. Tell me about another project you're working with your partners right now. Everybody is waiting for that, and thanks for the opportunity not sharing this absolutely fantastic success story of Stanford, but this one as well.
Yeah, so that's exclusive to you as well, because I don't think that my partners would have anything against it. I'm just gonna say a few words, because we still
Stanford and Force will balance.
Yes, I hope so. The official presentation is still due, and we would definitely make it happen. I don't know yet when our foreign partners would decide it. But
the main thing is that you are on track. You are still working.
Yes.
And there were no delays within your action plan or whatever was scheduled.
No.
Well, there were during the COVID period.
There were some delays, but I wouldn't call it delay. I would more call it like impediment factor, because I will explain. There were basically, we're talking about the first regional designer outlet village. It's a literally village allocated over 10 hectares with all 2,000 car parking spots, like all the greenery and everything, 120 brands, all of them medium and up. It was done by a very famous, globally recognized Spanish architecture company. Those are the guys who did actually the project for Santiago Bernabeu Stadium. Yeah, and the Madrid outlet and Barcelona outlet. They are the great guys. And the project is also so beautiful. It's like split 70-30, 70 Georgian attributes. And they were basically traveling throughout the Georgia and shooting photos of starting Svetitsko up to Tbilisi, Abano and everything, just to catch the Georgian spirit, etc. And it's an entire village, literally village, with 3 main components. There would be a main plaza, and there would be several avenues and small streets, so people would walk through it. And so there were basically 2 directions. One is the construction, architecture, technical things, and the other one was actually brand leasing.
The first one's going to be finalized next year?
It is final. I think we would start construction literally within 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Because paper-wise, everything's been already finalized, legalized. We got all the approvals, etc. There is some tiny things to be tweaked, but I think it would be done within a week or so. and the major part is leasing. So although COVID did cause some problems, because I mean, brands, imagine, stores closed, shopping malls closed, they have facing lots of problems, and now you are showing up and telling them that open a new store after 1 year, that nobody knows what's going to happen, right? But it was really interesting to find out that the brands actually turned out to be expecting outlet to be built in Georgia, because for this current moment, 99% of the brands that we wanted to have are being signed.
So it means
preliminary agreements, like term sheets. So basically we agree on what does it mean? Two things, two major things. So brands know their units, exact units, place, locations where they would be, where their stores would be, and secondly, commercial terms. So before the opening, 5-6 months before the opening, we would get back to the brands and make the real, like, general lease agreement, and those term sheet conditions would be automatically depicted into the agreement. 99% of them are already signed, which is, I mean, unprecedented story. Even our Americans are saying, the company who is in the management, they never seen such a precedent in their entire career.
I know from you that location itself was chosen after
6 months. They were tracking,
monitoring and tracking.
Yes, because of many factors.
Tell me the advantages of
traffic.
Traffic. Yeah.
That's two things: traffic, and that's the major
crossroad
with Azerbaijan, Armenia. So.
With our main rail.
All the visitors from Azerbaijan, Armenia,
whoever comes, or drives back,
would not miss. Yes,
impossible to miss
the outlet. Impossible to miss. Even architecture is done in a way that they would see, like, on the plate, facade of all these beautiful.
No chance.
Yes, all these beautiful things, etc. Well, there are some other additional things, but I'm not allowed to say yet. We are talking with a very famous international brand who would. Who considers to build a drive-through there.
But you're allowed to say that some brands are also represented from our neighbor international group.
Yes,
that's worth to mention as well.
Yes, we signed agreement with the Azeris, a very famous group, fashion group, Armenians. We have talks with Russian, Ukrainian, Baltic groups. We have talks with American groups, Italian, European, I don't know, because I'll tell you why. What is the key problem? That whatever brands we wanted to have, we already sort of signed, and it is only 50%. So we need to fill out the rest of the stores, right? And the only way to do it to bring new brands. So now 100% of leasing process is outside Georgia. To bring new brand is not that easy. Why? Because they request to open first the full price store, regular one, and then outlet. Opening regular one is difficult. Imagine if you open Dolce & Gabbana, for instance, on the main avenue. Doesn't matter where. Well, the probability that they would sell is not that high, right? So investors, they don't want to bear that risk. That's why we have different strategies. There are brands who are considering to come directly themselves. There are brands who are asking us for local investors, partners, to be very honest, so far the perspective is very encouraging, because we have weekly calls with our partners and weekly updates of the brands. Right now we're talking about with 500 brands. All of them new.
How you say it while finalizing our conversation? Brands need bad times for.
Yeah, that's not me. That's a very famous phrase. They say that outlets are good in the good times and the best in the worst times.
Worst times.
Yeah, and the logic behind it. Actually, two things, and it's been published in many famous articles and many famous publishings. That firstly, due to COVID, lot of stock accumulated globally, because shops were closed, etc. And the only channel to sell those stock is via outlets, right? Firstly. Because they cannot allocate that significant discount in the full price stores because of image and reputation, and that's why. And secondly, it turned to be several global experts. They said that outlets are safer than shopping malls because the space is open. Yeah. So I don't know whether that's true or not. Does make logically sound, but yeah, it is. Yeah. So I think that within a year, we plan to open it somewhere at late spring 2022.
Within a year.
Within
Mostly,
a year,
plus minus 2 or 3 months.
Well, yeah, we would finish, I think, within a scheduled time frame, but then brands would need 3-4 months for their fitting works and then furniture and stock and everything. And
fantastic.
We'll see. And the opening, I think, we would make a grand opening. So
you graduated from Mr. Forbes to Mr. Sanford already at the publishing. Good luck, Luka. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Such investments are crucial for Georgia, especially in these tough times. Here is what the World Bank has to say about Georgia in its most recent report on Europe and Central Asia. The COVID-19 pandemic has hit Georgia hard. Mobility restrictions, a sudden halt to international tourist arrivals, and weak external demand drove an estimated economic contraction of 6.2% in 2020. The poverty rate increased by an estimated 5.4 percentage points. Job and income losses were severe. The fiscal deficit and public debt rose above statutory levels as the crisis put pressure on fiscal and external balances. Georgia's economy is projected to expand to 4% in 2021 and then to firm to 5% in 2022. Despite this improvement, output is unlikely to recover to pre-COVID levels until late 2022, in part owing to a subdued outlook for international tourism over the forecast horizon. The recovery is subject to considerable downside risks, including from delayed vaccinations, additional or extended COVID-19 restrictions, tightening global financial conditions, and prolonged political tensions. Not an easy situation, to say the least. For a more detailed analysis, let me offer our viewers and followers the comment from Evgeny Najdo, World Bank senior economist.
The main message of this report is that the regional economy has started to recover from one of the deepest recessions, which saw output contracting by 2% in the emerging and developing countries in the Europe and Central Asia region and pushing more than 6 million people below the poverty line. In 2021, we expect regional output to grow by 3.6% as firming external output and commodity prices offset the flare-up of COVID-19 infections. As vaccinations pick up, we should see a stronger recovery in confidence, trade, and consumption. However, risks are high and depend on the effectiveness of pandemic management, the pace of inoculation, the access to external financial markets, as well as geopolitical tensions. Growth is expected to accelerate further to 3.8% in 2022 as the impact of the pandemic fades, addressing some long-term challenges such as improving human capital, quality of institutions, the market functionings, as well as facilitating the move towards low carbon and green economies will strengthen the recovery. Open economies and those that that relied significantly on services and tourism were hardest hit. This includes Georgia. Georgian GDP is estimated to have contracted by 6.2% in 2020 and the poverty rate to have increased by more than 5 percentage points. The recovery will also be gradual in Georgia. The output is expected to increase by 4% in 2021, reflecting the phased easing of restrictions, the pace of inoculation, and the continued fiscal support. Again, there are a lot of uncertainties that we will need to monitor carefully. Finally, this update contains a special section on data digitalization and governance. The pandemic demonstrated how digitalization is critical to sustaining economic activity, as well as how important good governance is. Beyond the pandemic, given the size of public sectors in Europe and Central Asia, the progress in GovTech will be critical for the productivity of the economies. The regional economies are making efforts in this area. Some already have advanced digital solutions. Others, including Georgia, are putting significant focus on GovTech. To harness the data revolution, countries could encourage adoption, adaptation, and coordination of data systems, as well as foster platforms to promote direct feedback mechanisms and accountability.
Need for the vaccinations to pick up again and again. This is the main message and the main possibility for the economies to recover. Forbes Georgia Health Platform is keeping you updated on main trends and tendencies, not only in Georgia but worldwide. And do not forget to visit our webpage forbes.g and look through the blogs and opinions of the professionals and thought leaders in this field.
Yes, Georgi, let me add here that this is really a very good and reliable, what's very important nowadays, resource among the loads of misinformation concerning vaccines and the pandemic in general. And let me agree with you that the vaccination is the most important process to open up and gear up the economy. However, in Georgia, where we have two systemic banks, you would also agree that the sound banking and financial sector also play a big role in driving the economic development further. Before we start our overview of how the influential ratings company Fitch Ratings upgraded outlooks for Georgia's three banks, let us remind our viewers and followers what were some of the risks that Fitch Ratings told us they would be monitoring closely when updating their ratings.
Georgian banks entered this crisis with quite good capital ratios and quite strong earnings generation capacity. But on a long-term horizon, the key factor for banks' performance and solvency would be, of course, the asset quality metrics. And on how loans that have just emerged from debt repayment schedules and from debt payment holidays, and those loans that are currently reported as stage 2 under IFRS accounts, how these perform going forward, it would be very important.
What is your main recommendation concerning banks and soundness of banking and financial sector in general?
In Georgia, we rate 7 banks, and currently all of them are on negative outlooks. The ratings of 2 banks are driven by institutional support. These are ProCredit and Halyk. So the outlooks on the ratings of this bank really depend on the sovereign outlook. This is the ProCredit case, and on the outlook of the Halyk's parent, the Kazakh bank. The viability ratings of all banks are really sensitive to the real impact of the pandemic and of the health crisis on banks' financial profiles. So if we see that the economic downturns leads to significant deterioration of asset quality metrics, banks' profits, and what is most important, the erosion of the capital, to a point where the bank's capital ratios have only minimum buffers above the regulatory requirements, then the ratings could be downgraded. The outlooks are likely to be revised back to stable if we see that the economy stabilizes and sufficient time has passed for us to judge that banks were really able to withstand pressures on their financial profiles, and there is no material deterioration of the loans, that these do not result in weaker earnings and capital pressures, then yes, we will revise the outlooks back to stable. But I think it will take us at least 1 or 2 more quarters to see what the impact of this crisis was.
Yeah, if we look at lari volatility, can we say that this is also some kind of risk to the financial stability?
Yes,
added to the uncertainty that COVID-19, which is like this inherent feature of COVID-19.
Yes, we always highlighted that high dollarization is one of the key vulnerabilities of banks.
Well, Georgi, let me say how happy I am that most of these risks did not materialize, and we can say that the main risks are stemming from the prospects of the economic growth and development in general during and post-COVID, rather than from the banking sector
and
itself.
Let me join you in this assessment. Since I fully agree with you on this, that Georgia crucially needs a sound banking sector. So let us start our brief review of Fitch rating.
Sure, Georgi. Fitch Ratings has revised the outlooks of TBC Bank, Bank of Georgia, and the Liberty Bank to stable from negative, while affirming their long-term issuer default ratings (IDRs). Fitch has also affirmed the long-term IDRs of ProCredit Bank with a negative outlook, which mirrors the outlook on the sovereign rating.
Yeah. And Fitch Ratings says that banks entered the crisis with healthy capital cushions and sound performance metrics, and we believe the ratings of BOG, TBC and Liberty can tolerate further moderate deterioration of asset quality.
Yes, moreover, Fitch Ratings stresses that Georgian banks provided retail borrowers as well as corporate and SME clients on a selective basis, with two main waves of credit holidays in 2020 of 3 months each. The share of sector loans affected during the first moratorium was a high 57%, although Fitch believes that a large majority of borrowers have already returned to regular loan repayments. Fitch still expects current impaired loan metrics to continue weakening. Also, the pace of economic recovery, in particular in tourism and related sectors, remains uncertain. These risks are balanced by the bank's healthy pre-impairment profits, which are sufficient to withstand additional loan impairment charges, mostly sound capital cushions and stable funding and liquidity profiles.
As for the two biggest and systemic banks, TBC and Bank of Georgia, Fitch says that funding and liquidity profiles of both TBC and BOG have been stable. Banks are largely funded by customer deposits. It's about 66% and 70% of liabilities and TBC and BOG respectively, and these have been no material outflows at times of market turbulence in 2020. Upcoming wholesale debt repayments are manageable, and banks maintained good access to funding from international financial institutions during the pandemic. Thus, refinancing risks are low. Highly liquid assets, we count here on cash, short-term placements with MBG and banks, net of seizable obligatory reserves and unpledged securities eligible for repo, amounted to a reasonable 20% and 18% of deposits at TBC and BOG, respectively, at the end of 2020.
I think it's high time to turn to our new rubric, basically, and that is a sectoral review. And today we'll be focusing on Hazelnut Market, its players and trends. And here is a brief overview.
Export of fresh hazelnuts and walnuts from Georgia have doubled. The sector solved the problems step by step and got the appropriate result. From August 2020 to February 2021, Georgia exported $90 million worth of hazelnuts. The second largest export product from Georgia to the European Union was hazelnuts. In January-February, $10 million worth of hazelnuts were exported from Georgia to the EU. It should be noted that in terms of hazelnut exports and production on the world market, Georgia is in the top 7. In particular, as East Fruit writes, Turkey is the largest producer and exporter of the hazelnuts in the world. Turkey accounts for 75% of world exports. The remaining 25% are in Italy, Azerbaijan, the USA, Chile, Georgia, and Iran. Georgia sells Georgian hazelnuts in more than 20 countries around the world. The top 10 countries where Georgia exported hazelnuts in January-February 2021 look like this, with the most significant exports to Germany, Italy, and Russia. Did the results regarding the quality of the hazelnut and its yield meet the expectations of the industry this year? The chairman of the Georgian Hazelnut Growers Association's Executive Council says that the expectations were met. He thinks that the country hasn't reached its resource limit yet and is now starting to grow. He also knows that European customers have gained trust in the quality of hazelnuts produced by Georgian farmers.
We have very positive results in terms of hazelnut quality. According to statistics, the number of exported products exceeded 18,000 tons. Georgian farmers received a decent income from the product sold. This is just the beginning of the positioning of the Georgian hazelnut industry on the world market. We think that Georgia's hazelnut export should increase up to 100,000 tons in the next 2 or 3 seasons.
Georgi Khanishvili, the first Deputy Minister of Environmental Protection and Agriculture of Georgia, links to positive dynamics in hazelnut exports with effective work with farmers, as well as the association.
During the current season from August to now, the total volume of Georgian hazelnuts exports has reached $95 million. The pricing policy is maintained. This year's success is no accident. The farmers trusted the Georgian government and the ministry's recommendations and policies and began implement these recommendations.
Georgi Khanishvili notes that the high-quality hazelnut harvest this year results from large-scale measures taken by the relevant services and farmers against sting bugs, all based on an elaborate state strategy.
The main achievement in the unique method of defeating sting bugs, which has gained worldwide recognition. This has led to increased export, quality, productivity and farmers' incomes as well.
Despite the remarkable progress and success achieved, Merab Chitanova believes that the problem requires continuous work.
The hazelnut industry should carry out the necessary agriculture activities to ensure high-quality products every season. Otherwise, we will go back to the harmful processes that we have seen in previous years.
As for the private sector, Olam is a world-famous company from Singapore which supplies hazelnuts to customers in different countries. Even though the company has a hazelnut processing plant in the country, still, the stink bug crisis has put the world brand in a passive position in the Georgian market. Nevertheless, according to the Georgian representative of the company, Georgi Svanidze, this year was much better because of the successful fight against stink bugs, which brought incredible results.
I have had conversations with my colleagues in Europe and in various hazelnut-producing countries. They informed me that other countries had not achieved such a high level of success in the fight against stink bug. I think Georgia has much more potential. I believe that exports will increase in Europe in the coming years and the hazelnut quality will improve even more.
The company Joe U.S. World Export started processing hazelnuts in October. Company representative Lasha Shengelia tells us that this year was especially important due to the quality of hazelnuts. He says that the feedback on the delivered product is noteworthy and links it to the farmers' increased awareness and responsibility.
Gradually, farmers understood that hazelnuts need special care. Therefore, we think that we will have a much better harvest and much better quality next year. As for our company, we plan to enter the global market widely next year. We mainly export to Italy. We have shipped dozens of containers since October. It was a trial product, and Italians were amazed by the quality of the Georgian hazelnuts. We are planning to enter Germany and other markets as well.
The sector has overcome stink bug, but certain challenges remain. It is interesting to observe what these challenges are and find out how the industry is preparing.
You know that the prices of our hazelnuts do not depend on Georgia. We depend on foreign markets such as Turkey, mainly Russia and others. This does not allow for stable price control. This is an important challenge. The exchange rate in both Georgia and Turkey is an important factor affecting the price of hazelnuts. There are many problems, however, we have a strong industrial line and these factors will improve over time. Georgia has strong export potential. One goal is to reach the increased production per hectare. If the limit per hectare is 1 ton for now, we think that it has the potential to increase to 2 tons.
Georgia has increased hazelnut exports as well as increased quality, but still has a difficult time in terms of positioning on the market independently. However, with the improvement of export indicators and continued internal joint work, Georgian hazelnut has the potential to succeed in more international markets in the near future.
And as I know, Elena, our already senior reporter Ani Tavadze also spoke to a lady from Forbes, Georgia, English cover, so to say, and we can now offer the interview with entrepreneur Tamar Majavariani.
Yes, in a moment, Georgi, this is actually a very inspirational story, a story of a Georgian tourist in UAE, basically who joined Rush Global FZ Co in 2018 as a trader without a physical office or any staff in Dubai. She started building the company from scratch with the help of Rush Group, and that brought company to the present standing. Let's watch the interview with Tamar Majavariani.
So thank you so much for taking the time. The Checkpoints is happy to host you. Today you represent a company, Rush Group. Can you give our viewers a brief background about the company? What is Rush Group? What is the main scope of operation? What are the main numbers? And what is the mission of the company?
First of all, thank you so much for such a great opportunities. And yes, Rush Group is 43 years old global trading company. Mainly our operations is growing, producing and exporting and trading with more than 100 items, fruits and vegetables in worldwide. We are basically trading with over 200 companies globally, and I would say that the Rush Group is one of the biggest in Europe, with its subsidiaries in Hungary, Malaysia, Poland, Portugal, and UAE. We generate our annual turnover around 62 million US dollar.
So what value can Rush Group bring to Georgian producers specifically?
Well, with many years of experience, both in UAE and international scale, we are also keen to helping growers attain updated knowledge in industry, practicing a legal outlook through training and seminars. We can help them to build the packing houses. We can help them to we can teach them to how to grow many other varieties that UAE market requires. For example, apples, carrots, and potatoes. I know Georgia already have a very good experience, and then growers are very well educated, but still to meet UAE standards, they need to know a lot of the details which goes with the packing and varieties and coloration and etc.
So what are UAE export standards, and what do Georgian producers need to do to meet these standards?
Well, definitely growers will have to follow strict procedure to meet the region import requirements, as well as the product quality and packing. It's very important how product packed in Georgia and shipped to UAE, because they always pay attention on packing and grading the product. Definitely, country needs to have many more packing houses and grading machineries, which is very important to grade the product accordingly.
What does UAE Fresh Market represent in terms of opportunities, with a specific emphasis on Georgia?
The region offers an attractive business environment in terms of the legal protection, international trading standards, compliance, and logistical convenience. Products can enter the region either by the road, by the sea, and by air transport. Which is we have to mention as well that UAE, particularly Dubai, is a hub of the re-export, which helps as well the Georgian growers to import to Jebel Ali port, which is in Dubai, and then re-export to other countries, which is Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia. We many times basically re-exported from Dubai to Georgia and Azerbaijan many different kind of products, which is pineapple, ginger, lemon, and it was all from different countries. So country is very productive in terms of the import and export.
So many say that Georgia is the crossroad from Europe to Asia and from north to south. In your opinion, what steps should we take to use the opportunities we have because of our geographic location?
Well, yes, Georgia is strategically located in a competitive geographic location, which increased its competitiveness with its European and Asian countries in terms of the agriculture. So I believe that government should focus on creating opportunities for local producers, such as in incentivizing this industry to help local businesses, which will create more jobs for Georgians, while also increases GDP. An area that Georgia can focus on its infrastructure, roads, ports and irrigation system, which is very important and will help business to expand and attract investors. The local government can also support the expansion of existing businesses by collaborating to create a workable ecosystem that allows for resources to be made available, including post-harvest handling technologies, grading and sorting machinery, packing facilities, and temperature-controlled cold stores of warehouses.
Mm-hmm. Supply chains have suffered. Transportation and export-import was delayed in a number of countries because of the global pandemic. So we want to know, how has this crisis affected your company and how have you handled all the obstacles?
Well, yes, that's correct. That entire sector has suffered due to the late shipment as a result of the travel restrictions and closed borders. Regulation kept changing on a regular basis at the peak of the pandemic, which required us to adapt very quickly at this time. And we decided that we needed to have a larger office and more manpower to operate efficiently. In June 2020, we opened our new cold store with a capacity of 7 containers in a fresh market at the Russell 4 area, and employed more people to sustain our increasing operations. Despite the pandemic, the company was able to open more customer accounts in the retail channel, and we can say that we have prospered during this time, and that was very challenging, but we basically really developed really fast, and nobody believed that. It was really great year for our company, because we mainly focused on distribution and local purchases and many more imports and re-exports.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, good luck to Tamar Majavariani, and you, our dear viewers and followers, do not forget to read Forbes Georgia Health, and Forbes Georgia English version as well.
And of course, follow us on Forbes G and BMG for all the information that you need on business and economics.
And it's time to say goodbye for now. Stay healthy and wear a face mask.
Yes, have a safe working week ahead, and we will be leaving you off with the necessary energy and inspiration. Here is Sami Cohen, founder of Leo Institute and co-founder of Learning as Leadership exclusively for you.
Yeah. Yes, he was in Georgia for this time, quite a brief visit and training, and we managed to have a talk with him. So enjoy it. See you. We all know that the concept of Leo, it has a very special sentiment.
The concept of?
Leo.
Yes.
And it sets a story of yourself, your wife Claire, and mentor Leo itself. Tell us how this story, for me it's already a journey, but how this story began. And how did it transform to Leo Institute?
To introduce how it began, I like to remind us how crisis is written in Chinese. And Kennedy used it in one of his big speech, and he said, Chinese write crisis with two ideograms. One means danger, and the other one means opportunity. Our approach to any crisis can be either danger, and we are in danger and that's it, or danger is introducing me an opportunity. So it can be an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to change, an opportunity to create better relationships. And it's exactly what happened to us, but at that time we were not aware that it was an opportunity. At that time, it was just danger. In May 1982, my wife gets a routine checkup, and the ophthalmologist sees a melanoma in her eye. And the melanoma in the eye, especially that size, is terminal cancer. The ophthalmologist was a very close friend. At that time, I was in the US. He called me. He said, you have to come back. I said, can I finish what I have to? He said, no, you cannot finish. And he told me, look, she has a few months to live. Do whatever you want, but clean up your... So I thought, if she has a few months to live...
It was prognosis from 3 to 6 months. Yes?
He said, if you follow everything we tell you, she may have 6. Okay, so as I am an engineer by training, I asked some statistics. I love and I know how to read statistics. So he gave me statistics, and I came back to him. I said, look, 1/3 can live 5 years. He looked at me in the eyes and he said, Sami, who is going to fund a research where everybody dies? He said, I am in the most advanced research center in Paris, which was the Rothschild Institute. And he said, I don't have a patient that survived 1 year with melanoma, much smaller than your wife's melanoma. When she was diagnosed, the melanoma was already 12 millimeter. The eye is 22. So you see, he said it was huge. Okay, so at that time, I said, okay, she has 3 months. I want her to have the best 3 months. So we stopped fighting. We stopped arguing. I was export manager. I stopped traveling. Our communication improved. Our closeness, well, you know, when you know she's going to die, everything changed. After 3 months, she did not die. After 6 months, she did not die. And I loved my new life. It was really more pleasant.
It lasted 17
years.
Years and more, yeah?
Yeah, 17 years. 17 years, which were much more pleasant and much richer than before the disease. So if a terminal cancer can give you these opportunities, what a small COVID can give you, or anything, you lose your job, maybe you get the job of your life. I had an employee like that. She was overqualified.
Overqualified?
Yeah, overqualified. So, you know, when people are overqualified, they are not, they don't like what they do. So she was doing her job perfectly, but she was creating problems. I tried to put her in different places. It did not work. I fired her. She cried. I was feeling bad, but I knew it was good for her. 1 month later, she came back and she kissed me. she found
She
the
was
job.
thankful.
She found the job she likes. But as long as I did not fire her, she didn't have the courage
To find that
to
work.
resign
To resign, yeah.
and,
generally,
and look
yeah, correct.
for. Okay. I really believe, after different experiences, that joy and success go together. If you succeeded well using your willpower, you would have succeeded much more if you were inspired. And when you are inspired, you work long hours, but it's not, you don't feel you are working. Okay, so really, joy and success go together.
Let me now give us a brief overview of the methodology of Leo itself, and also I really want to be aware personally from you about the about the unique point of the methodology itself.
So this is what Leo explained to us. There is like two parallel worlds, two parallel universes. One which is fear-oriented. I go to my work because I am afraid to lose my job. I do things because I am afraid. I do what people expect from me because I'm afraid to be rejected, not loved. Okay? So all my life is around performing out of fear. And there is the other universe which is more, what do I want? What do I want to create?
In general,
Yeah. What are my qualities that are special, that you have that I don't have? Okay. How can I put these qualities at the service of humanity? In the other world, it's not about me. It's about what contribution can I give? Because in the me, if you give me a compliment, it does not stick. I need another one, and I need another one, and I need that you praise me, and it does not stick. But when I do what my true self inside desire, I nourish my soul, I nourish myself. So by using my qualities for something more important than myself, at the same time, my life is fulfilled.
Let's move to another side of this methodology. Can you elaborate how does it exactly, does this methodology apply to leadership development?
Okay.
You're happy with the question?
Yes, I love this question.
Okay.
I love this question, and I'm going to tell you why. But first, let me define the goal of the methodology. The goal of the methodology is to create our life rather than being at the mercy of events or ourselves, because usually we are at the mercy of ourselves. So how does it apply to leadership? There are like trends. And the trend I am in now, I am thinking a lot about people that are not happy at work. You know what percentage of people hate their work?
No, I'm not aware of that.
75%.
75?
And 75 and 20% are actively disengaged. It means they speak bad about their company or they speak bad about their boss. 20%.
Do you have an explanation for that, please?
Yeah. It's a little long, but I think it's worthwhile.
It's worth to discuss.
And things are getting worse and worse. It means 10 years ago it was less, and 50 years ago even less. 30 years ago, people could do the job of a machine. They did not care. They were happy, they were taking their paycheck. It was okay. The new kind are princes and princesses.
What does it mean?
It means They cannot be on a chain doing the whole day like a machine.
Okay.
Okay?
Totally different.
Totally different. So the good thing is they have a huge potential, much more than their grandparents. Okay? But if you don't use that potential, they are much less happy than their grandparents.
But Sammy, it's confirmed that their grandparents were much happier than this generation with enormous and huge potential.
Yeah.
I got it correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. If your bar, let's say, if you want to make, let's say, 30,000 lari a year, it's easier than if you want to make 3 million. So if to be fulfilled, you need to take responsibilities, use your mind, and you're not given the opportunity. How do you feel? You don't feel good. And the problem that you have in Georgia is that the change took place very fast. So you have a generation of leaders that are command and control. And you have the younger generation that are totally out of that. And there is a generation clash. They cannot be happy if you don't give them the opportunity to prove that they can do it. They have the capacity. But the leader, if he gives this opportunity to the young person, then he becomes useless. He's not the superhero.
You're a very close ally of Georgia. It's not the first time you're here.
No.
Is this it cannot be your first interaction, but it might be some sort of conclusive impression, if I'm right. But what's general impression about Georgia?
Yeah, I can give you examples so you will follow me. Okay?
Georgian example.
Yeah, okay. So we have this exercise in the seminar where we ask each person to take a stand. Okay? So it was, I think, my third seminar in Georgia. And I wait, no answer, silence. I tell them, look, any one of you speak. I push, no one speaks. Then the leader of the team speaks. In less than 1 minute, they all took their position. Of course, like the leader.
As soon as leader speaks?
Yeah. Okay? I give you another example. I wanted to do a brainstorming. I invited 10 or 12 people, I don't remember. Yeah. Okay? So I sent the mail to everyone. I waited 48 hours.
For response?
For a response. The leader responds. Less than 5 minutes, all the others respond. They wait to see the position of the leader and to decide their position.
Which means that they might have their own position.
Yeah, but they will rather comply to the position of the leader than express their own position. If you want them to develop their entrepreneurship, if you want them to take responsibility, you have to give them the possibility. The culture should allow them to express and disagree.
Semicon gave them that opportunity. You asked the question and you were waiting for response.
Yes.
It's a part of culture and mentality, which is a problematic here.
Yeah,
that's what you are pointing?
Yeah. They do not allow
individual response, while that's not going to be responded in advance or in time or
it's
lately by
dangerous
leader.
If I have a different point of view than my leader. It's dangerous. I will not take that risk. So if I have a problem, I will come to my leader to ask him, what should I do? And then I will do it. If it does not work, it's not my fault. It's his fault. I did what I was told to do.
Such a general picture, what you witnessed in Georgia?
More than other countries. More than the US or even France or Italy.
Same story?
No, much
different.
Yeah. So the young generation that want to use their skills
and impress their own abilities
and use their skills.
They're doing it.
They don't have the structure to do it. The structure makes it dangerous. I can give you another example.
Georgian one again?
Yes, Georgian one.
I need that.
I speak with a guy in charge of a specific department in a very large corporation. You know, a big bank.
Big bank, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, there are two big banks.
Yes, there are two big
not
banks.
Not 3, not 4, there are 2 big banks. Okay?
Semi knows Georgian economy.
I don't give names.
Yes.
Okay, so I speak with him because he changed bank. And I asked him, why did you change? You were head of your department, you had a good salary. He said, I was not able to do what I wanted to do for the bank. I was
pressed? He was pressed or smashed?
He was not given the chance to
use all of the abilities.
Yeah, he was seeing things that the bank could benefit. Well, I don't want to say which department, but it was part of.
He's happy now.
So he moved to the other bank because they told him that they would. And he says.
Sort of the same.
It's sort of the same. So he said, if in 1 year I don't have opportunity to use my skills, I will quit and I will start my own business. So on one side, it's wonderful because you have a lot of entrepreneurs. But on the other side, you have this possibility to develop the companies that is lost. If 75% of the workforce hate their job, there is a fantastic possibility to make a fantastic business instead of just a regular one.
How this culture, how this mentality is changing. This clash of generations you mentioned a few minutes ago. I have a feeling that we are losing this opportunity, what you mentioned, by delivering samples and cases about other countries. So it's worrying, that's disturbing, because I'm not a person who can deliver now the recipe, how it can be changed. Maybe Mr. Kohn is.
Well, I don't believe in recipes, but I believe in intention. If we want to change that, we will.
I'm digging because I'm trying to find the solution.
Yeah.
Of all the impressions you have, maybe it's not a recipe, maybe it's an intention, as you mentioned, but how it can be solved. If we're talking about generations and about the future, it will not be helpful if we'll have the same product waiting for the leader who should be responsible.
Yeah. And at the same time, the leader is complaining that the younger generation don't take their
activities, they are not active enough.
But the culture does not allow it.
It's a part of culture.
Absolutely. The business culture and also our survival mechanism. Human beings have a survival mechanism.
Some sort of code.
Yes.
Survival code.
Yeah. And it's connected to the way we grew up. You see, fishes don't need their mother to survive. They are born And they are
So individuals
Yeah.
are growing themselves.
exactly human beings, even at 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, even 5 years. If the mother is not there, they cannot survive. Okay, so very early age, we connect being loved with our actual survival. So every one of us needs to be loved. Because we printed in ourselves, if you are not loved,
That's
we'll
also
die.
the code.
It's, as you said, it's a code. Okay? So each one of us develop a strategy to be loved. The leader also. So the leader needs to be the superhero to show that the department or the company is succeeding thanks to him. Okay? If he makes the other people grow, it makes shadow to his superhero-ness. So he has to let go of these benefits. For me, it is a goal to go toward. For me, the leader should take the goal to become useless.
That's the way how we can go forward.
I think so.
Sammy, tell me about the current and future aims of the Leo Institute. It's still again with a special emphasis in Georgia.
Okay. In Georgia, I found people that are crazy enough to take the goal to change the mindset of the society.
Finally, something positive is coming. So.
And I love that. You know, in other countries, people like what we do, but if you speak with a Frenchman and you tell him, do you want to improve France? They don't care.
They do not.
No, they do not care. Do you want to improve Italy? They do not care. In Georgia,
They care.
I hear people, I want to help my fellow Georgian change mindset, have a positive mindset. So I have a fantastic support here. It's amazing. So our goal is first Georgia and then go global. All of us, each one of us has a life purpose, which is not to have a Ferrari. We have a life purpose. If we don't spend time asking ourselves what is it, we cannot find it. The first step is to ask ourselves, what is my life purpose? Okay? And the life purpose is using your qualities to help other people. That's it. So your qualities, you have developed them because you have your specific life purpose. I have developed mine because I have my specific life purpose.
Is this successful enough in Georgia? Because the author himself, he is very influential in Georgia, and our more young society, business community, they like Simon Sinek very much.
Yeah.
What's your impression?
Well,
Do you have the same feedback from them, from those with whom you are engaged here?
I just learned about the book. Yeah, and I have a lot of respect for that guy, a lot. I love the why. You see what he does for companies when he speaks about the why? It's what we do for human beings. Why? Why? What is your, when I say what is your life purpose, it's why. If we don't ask ourselves why, we go in autopilot
Regime, yeah.
Yeah.
See you in summer. Thank you so much.